It was 10 years ago this week that America invaded Iraq. At the time of the invasion, Canada was steadfast in its refusal to take part in the conflict without the United Nations stamp of approval. Now, a decade later, former Prime Minister Chretien is reflecting on his decision and Washington's impetus to launch the war.
Canada will not participate.
10 years since his historic proclamation in the House of Commons, former Prime Minister Jean Chretien has no regrets about his decision to leave Canada out of the Iraq War.
At my position, if you don't have the support of the UN, Canada will not be there.
On the West Block with Tom Clark, Chretien said he didn't give the White House a heads up of his announcement on March 17, 2003.
I wanted the Canadian people to know it first.
Then President George W. Bush was disappointed, he says, but he shrugs off suggestions that he soured relations with the U.S.
Some people use September 11 to finish the war that Father Bush had done at Kuwait, and according to certain people in the United States, should have been completed.
What did Bush say to you?
You know, he was a very pleasant chap. I never had a personal problem with him. Of course, a lot of media wanted me to be an enemy of George W. I was not.
Contrast that to the leader who said yes to Bush. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair has faced the fire in the years since he sent UK troops into Iraq. But on this decade anniversary of Canada's controversial decision, Blair stands by his own.
You can go back over all the issues to do with weapons of mass destruction and so on. But if you ask the basic question, is the world better off without Saddam than with them, then I think the answer is pretty clear. And that, in the end, is the judgment you've got to make.
With the benefit of hindsight, Chretien can now take a political jab at the current Prime Minister, who at the time was opposition leader.
If you start, where do you stop?
Let me ask the government, has it now informed Saddam's frontman in Ottawa that his services are no longer required?
You know, between you and I would bet you that Harper would have said yes to the war in Iraq.
2 decades since his election, Chretien says he doesn't miss having to make these tough decisions.
You make one blunder and you disappear. And at the end of the day, you say, I survived one more day. So I survived something like 13,529 days, or more or less.
Who's counting?
Who's counting?
Shirley Engel, Global News, Ottawa.